Hello, this is Jay from A Stitch in Time in Bemidji, Minnesota. For a while we've been looking for a better vacuum cleaner for our commercial customers or those who do a lot of heavy usage. People have a lot of different users of a vacuum cleaner, like in churches, in stores, in schools, or sometimes kids in our homes. Something that's going to take the abuse better than some of our other vacuum cleaners that we've had out there. One of the biggest complaints people have had when they come in has been some of the maintenance and costs when people do things with their vacuums that they shouldn't. What we have really found with the Sebo is that they're very durable vacuum cleaners. They hold up very well, and what I found out from people who've had Sebos is they just last. They're designed to last 20 years, and let me show you some of the reasons why. We have been very happy with them. One of the most common repairs we have is people vacuuming over their cords. You know, we're never supposed to do this, but occasionally when we have a young person or some temporary help or something and they don't care as much, they tend to want to just go over something rather than take the time to pick the cord up or do it right. But this is what happens when you do it with a Sebo. Still works just fine, and the cord is nothing special. It's just the way they've designed their roller brush that makes it work that way to minimize the amount of repairs that you would have to do if someone else is messing with it. Another thing that's nice about the way they've made their roller brush is that what happens if you vacuum up something that you shouldn't, like a shoelace? We've all done this, and it leaves our house or our store with a nice lovely smell of burnt rubber. What happens if you do that with a vacuum like this? Now, these vacuums are designed to have belts that don't need to be changed by the consumer at all. They're long life belts, and so what happens when you vacuum something like this? Well, let me show you. They have planned for even that. Another thing, so you see here what happened, there's a little sensor, it says check the roller brush. And all you need to do is turn this up, pull it away, go back to vacuum. It's that easy. It's a way of protecting your roller brush, the bearings, and the motor from down there doing it. Another thing about the heavy duty usages of these machines is that while all vacuum cleaners uprights usually have a handle release back here that is designed to lower the handle, sometimes people get in a hurry and they just go ahead and kick this. If you were to do this with most all the other vacuum cleaners out there, you would break parts back there, and trust me, we stock them because people do that. What's nice with the Sebo is they recognize that some people aren't going to be taking the time to do that properly. And so they designed it in such a way that if you have that person that comes and does that, it's not going to break the foot. It's still going to work just fine. Another thing that people struggle with on the site is that sometimes when we vacuum up something we shouldn't, we end up getting a plug somewhere in the machine. And how can you do that? Some vacuum cleaners are very difficult for the consumer to unplug on their own. And that's another thing that Sebo has done very well. We have actually, they have actually made a heavy object storage compartment right here, so if you vacuum up that penny or that little nail, it's going to stay here rather than go on up and get stuck in the hose somewhere. They also made it in such a way so that here's your wand, which has a self-storing hose inside of it, but they made it so that very quickly you can see right through there. You can see if it is actually open or not, and then your hose. The hose is made as a quick release. And so now you can actually see if so you can look through it, or you can even turn it in upside down and suction it backwards and suck it out of the hose. It's going to be hard for you to see it, but right down here you can also see right down to that heavy object storage area. So thus you can see the whole entire path of where it could be plugged, enabling you to make that that call easier. Also, when you come back here to where the bags are at, just so you can see right down here is going to come right out below here, so you can see right into your bag. Very easy to unplug these machines if something like that were to happen, where they pick up, you know, too many paper clips or something like that. Another thing I wanted to point out on here is that they've made these things very high filtration. In our offices and businesses, we do not want to be getting a lot of dust over our computers, over our electronics and things like that in our offices. And so the more we can keep contained in the vacuum cleaner, the better off we are. This is one thing that bagless vacuums fail on repeatedly, because while the air that comes through the Hepa filters on them does a good job of that, there are enough of other cracks where it's still spewing that dust back into the air. Sebo has a sealed system where everything is sealed up well. There's even a rubber gasket on here. And they have 10-ply filter bags, so they're going to filter very well. They also did something here that I like as well, living here in northern Minnesota. Up here in the wintertime, we have a lot of people that track in snow and slush to our commercial environments, and we should never vacuum those rugs when they're that wet. Wait till the morning, vacuum them then. But sometimes a mistake happens, and sometimes a customer or an employee grabs a vacuum, does it, and we end up with vacuuming wet stuff into our unit. What's nice about this is that the air does not come down here and go right into the motor. There is actually a little ledge here so that it can't go into the motor. The only way the air comes into the motor is it goes through this high filtration tube. This is a hard tube, and it serves two purposes. One is it doesn't vacuum off the bottom shelf. It vacuums up through here, so any moisture that comes in is just going to run out. It's not going to go into the motor. Secondly, when the bag is half full, it doesn't have to suck past all that dirt. It can suck up just farther up the tube and vacuum into the top of the bag. Thus, you're able to vacuum your bags, fill your bags up fuller, and still maintain good cleaning quality. You also have a high filtration Hepa air filter, so that after it goes down into the motor, it comes back out through the Hepa air filter, so that the air coming back into your workspace is as clean as absolutely possible. Another thing that they have done is to help minimize the technical skills needed for someone to do a lot of the maintenancing on their own out at the site. So you have a janitor who may not be the most mechanical person. How can he do as much of this work as possible so it's less time the machines have to be down? What they've done is we need to replace brush strips periodically in all of our vacuum cleaners. And so they've made it very easy to do it on here. In fact, no tools required. And it also has another benefit. A lot of times we have ladies working in our environment and they have longer hair, and sometimes in our quilting we have threads wrapped around that. How do you get this cleaned out of that roller brush? And this is what's even nice for our home uses if we want to do that as well. The nice thing about this is that I can push this little button here and the end cap comes off. And then all I need to do is just turn this just a little bit, and there comes all my brush strip, and with it all the threads and all that hair. Sometimes the thread might tend to ball up all at one end. You just take a scissors, snip it, and it all comes right back out. To put your new one back in is a simple matter of just finding that same groove, putting it back inside, putting your end cap on in place, and you're all ready to roll. Another handy feature from Sebo. So what do you think? We've been pretty happy with the Sebos and how well they've held up for us, and as we've been working on them, we're impressed with the quality of builds that they have. Originally we got them in here primarily for our commercial customers, because that is where they take the most abuse. But I have 10 kids in my home. We go through a lot of vacuum parts and bags as well because of the things that are vacuumed up there, and I'm happy to see some of these features as well. But they're not designed just for heavy-duty commercial use for those people like that. They also have ones that are designed for the home like this, the little Felix. This is a great little one. It's actually a little wider nozzle than some of the other ones, and it has what we call the popcorn nozzle, like this one, to fit right underneath the sofa so that you can get all the popcorn out, because it never drops right at the edge of the sofa. It always drops and rolls underneath. It also has some of that great steering capability that people have learned to like for maneuvering around chair legs and table legs and things like that. They also have in our commercial style as well. This one is for people who have a mixture of hard surface flooring and carpeting. This one senses automatically how thick your carpet is, or whether you're even doing it on the hard surface floor, and it will adjust up and down automatically. We can actually vacuum up fine sand on a hard surface like a laminate floor or something like that, and it does it automatically and go from there to a carpet. It has a little bit more aggressive roller brush, so you would not want to vacuum up your cord with something like this. Then you also have a canister. What I like about their canisters is that they're very quiet, and they actually have their hose designed so it starts with a big opening and tapering down to a standard size one to allow for greater air volume and better cleaning of your carpets. They also have all the controls for running the machine right on the handle, so you don't have to be bending over and doing those back at the main unit there. We also have our kind of our super commercial one. These ones are of a 2-motor system, one for the roller brush, one for the suction. And the nice thing about that is that if you need to take this high hospital grade filtration with you up the stairs or someplace else like that, you can very easily just disconnect it. And now you still have your hose and your cord and everything to take along with you. And then you just simply bring it back and you're all good to go. So what do you think? Come on in and take a look when you're ready to replace your vacuum cleaner. These ones will clean your carpets well, they'll last a long time, and in the end, they will save you money. So stop in, check with Keith or I, and we'll give you a demonstration on what these vacuum cleaners can do for you. Thanks much and have a blessed day.